Hi and welcome. So what you're about to see is quite a layered process with Parker, and I have broken it down into 3 parts so that you can really take in what is happening. So up until now we have spent time with Parker colouring outside the lines. He's been educated, he's been learning, he's been curious, he has been building his life skills, but with no formal requests, as it were. So now, as he is 4, still a baby, but we are starting to slowly colour inside the lines in a very gentle, very without expectations, but with good intention. So in these 3 videos, we start with the rope around his middle, which we've had that conversation a few times, but not in formal setting, which is in the round pen that you will see in the video. Then we move on to introducing him to the Bareback Pad, working with all his sensory inputs. And finally, the cinch. Now, each part builds on the last, but nothing is rushed. This isn't about desensitizing him, it is about noticing, offering choice, and staying present enough to hear his response. And I really hope that as you watch these 3 videos, you see the value in these small in-between moments, because that's really where the conversation lies. So here's part 1.
Good boy. Come on. So we're here with Parker, and we're going to add a layer to his understanding today. First of all, I'm just going to let him investigate the area. I think this might be his 4th time in here, or 5th time. But we're starting to colour inside the lines, if you like, with the conversations that we're having. So giving the nature of our dialogues a little bit more formality, and hence why we're in the round pen and not out and about. But he's still young and he's still got a mind that is developing, so I don't want to box him in and trap him and create any stress or anxiety within that within these dialogues. So I still feel, as I always say, that movement is really important for their emotional resilience, their ability to self-regulate and get to threshold, slightly above threshold where learning is, and be able to bring themselves down with help if necessary, but have that ability within themselves to truly negotiate new dialogues. So we're going to start with the rope. That's him investigating what's coming next, bless him. So if we could just get the camera to pick me up. Well done, thank you. Cameraman, oh, extraordinaire, that doesn't exist. So the conversation of the rope around his middle that we've had many times, both in his area, out forage walking. I just want to see that he has no bother with it in here, in a more formal setting, before we move to the next step. So what I'm trying to find is his baseline today, which might not be the baseline that he has tomorrow, and it will probably is not going to be the baseline that he had, you know, the last time we had a conversation about this. His ability to continue nibbling while that lays on his back without any real notification of it, is for me a good. This is a good, and this is where the nuances of conversations come into play, because there is nibbling to avoid and there's nibbling as an acceptance of, oh, this is just something I already know. And this for me is nibbling as accepting this is something that he already knows, and it's not avoidance. Avoidance would have a lot more tension in the body. It would have a lot more stillness in the head. His ears, you can't really see it from there, unfortunately, but I'm not intending to dominate this conversation just because I'm filming. But his ears are soft. His eyes are soft. So there's movement in his ears, there's movement in his eyes. So it's not a case I'm nibbling to avoid and everything else is still. Everything else is frozen. And while we're in this really beautiful moment, I'm going to start rubbing underneath where the rope will end up being, so that he has some connection to mind and body. If you've done the Power of Touch course that I've got on Udemy, there is an exercise in that where I talk about how we connect mind and body. The whole course is about connecting mind and body. But I'll just share with you here today the exercise that I do with people, and certainly do it a lot when they're here. And that is, if you take your hand and good boy, and pinch on your earlobe, not tight, but just enough to feel the pressure. When you let go, the sensation around your earlobes remains. Your mind is connected to the sensation of your earlobe. And that is a lot to do with what we're working on with our horses here, is ensuring that their mind is connected to their bodies. And it's also a good boy. It's a good exercise when we want their minds to remain in here, so their bodies are in here, for example, but they are distracted and their mind is out. So once I've gone underneath here, and again, I'll link a video to this process that I do with another horse, so that you get a better idea of the actual steps of this process. We're just moving away from the fence because I don't really want to get stuck in between it, and we're just going to start the dialogue again. Good boy. So lengthen the rope so I can reach it. Good boy, he's connected with it. Good boy. Step over. Good boy. So you can see this is a lot of movement in it. I'm turning my hand. Might come to the, there's a good boy. There's a good boy. There's a good boy. So he's just noticed somebody walking up there, so I am also aware of it. I've paused our dialogue so that he can comprehend what's going on there. Good. And now we're moving again. So he's really not bothered about the rope around his middle, and he's not worried about it in this space. So now we're going to add a layer to our conversation.